Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Howdy, everyone. Welcome to the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship here at Road America. I am Austin. I'm joined by Tim Cox and John Robertson in the production booth. You're here live watching Apex Racing TV.
Austin, we're here. Road America, Elkhart Lake. 4 miles of fun, 4 miles of excitement, 4 miles of action, 4 miles of drama. I can't wait for this to begin, and we get to do it 20 times, 20 laps this race. Big acceleration, and then followed by big decelerations into turn 1, turn 5, and even turn 12, Canada corner. This one's just ripe for the picking, for overtatement and excitement and drama and action. I can't wait. I'm buzzing. I'm sat here almost vibrating in my seat, waiting for this one to begin.
Well, calm down. The race hasn't even started, but I totally
I know.
understand. I totally understand that excitement because every time we come here to Road America, we see some things that just make you go, wow. Last year we had some amazing racing all the way to the very final corner, where moves were being made to the top 10. Currently in qualifying, Dennis Furkheim on provisional pole right now, ahead of Eddie Samborski. That is by a 10th and a half. Separating those two right now, we're looking at Eddie heading all the way down into logically turn 3, but according to Road America, turn 5, and up the bridge into one of my favorite corners, this little turn 6 and 7 combination right here. It's a very weird part of the track, and that's why it's my favorite, and it's also very easy to get it wrong there too. And then heading to one of the most famous corners in all of motorsports, the long carousel corner.
Interesting one for you, Austin. You mentioned obviously about, what was actually technically turn 3, but Road America classified as turn 5. We have motorbikes to thank for that one. It's exactly the same story at the Red Bull Ring, where what many people call turn 2 is actually turn 3 due to a kink, a left-hander before you come up to it. And that's because the motorbikes have to take them as physical corners. And it's the same here. Turn 2 is a slight kink between just after turn 1, and then after what is turn 2 official, but turn 3 in terms of Road America. Along that long straight there's a kink along the Moraine straight, which is classified as turn 4. So it's the good old motorbikes who we have to thank for messing up our corner numbers here. But there we go. Pinsker away last week, back this week, and straight in at the top of the timing sheets for a provisional pole, a 146.45.
Dennis Furkheim messed up his second lap, so did not put in the lap time. Samborski unable to improve on his time as Dennis jumps up into 8th place. But James A. Pinsker, welcome back. And the first valid lap is the fastest lap out of everyone so far right now at the 146.45. And it's going to be an amazing race to see how James is going to hold off Furkheim now, because it's usually James versus Samborski, but Samborski is going to be currently starting for the second row.
It's going to be an interesting one to see how Samborski plays it. I mean, it could actually prove to be a more powerful position due to the slipstream effect that he'll be able to utilize on the opening lap on the run down the Moraine sweep. And yeah, I think it could actually, despite not looking good starting from the second row of the grid, could actually play into Samborski's favour. We could well see him emerge at the front of the pack come the end of lap 1.
Yeah, lap 1, and I think end of turn 1, Samborski could have an advantage and come out in the lead due to the draft. And if he plays the cars right, he could have the lead heading into turn 1 if he gets a better start than Furkheim. In that second row, here's James just finishing out this lap right now. And giving us a show by completely showing us the damage model of a completely destroyed Formula 3.5 car. Thankfully, Park Firm... How's that car still running? I don't know. But thankfully, Park Firm is not a thing in iRacing. So, hey, he's just, getting some practice in for the end of the race. James A. Pinsker starts up on pole, followed by Dennis Furkheim, Eddie Samborski, Jason Sieg, Miguel Crespo, Fabio De Carmo, Ben Holko, Dennis Cornu, Mark Poddick, Jamie Byrne, Yaya Ennis Anakin, Ruhai Hara in 12th place, Mehmet Taski, James R. Byrne, Oliver Kwaka, John Owens, Shane Lambert, Gerhard Roetz, Takashi Shinodai, Alexandre Ronchetti, Maxine Leroy, Robin Fernando, Reno Scattini, Daniel Gallus, and at the end of the grid, James Malo. 25 cars lined up on the grid, the max grid size of the Formula 3.5 series. So this is going to be one of the biggest grids and one of the biggest races. Heck, it looks like an IndyCar race here at Road America.
It does indeed. It's going to. I tell you what's going to be an interesting one. We saw at Sebring, Penske deployed one of his 8 available DRSs off the start
We are
line.
definitely going to be seeing that. We're definitely going to be seeing that.
Yes, I think we are. I think he's going to utilize. I mean, although having said that, does he play the long game? Does he bank it? And knowing that probably the cars behind him will be utilizing it.
No,
I don't know.
It's I was talking with you outside of broadcast last time that it's a strategy only used by probably the front row, as the drivers behind him will be benefiting from the draft anyway, and it's kind of pointless to do that. Only the leading car you'll see try to use that DRS off the line. Maybe we might see Furkheim try to do it. What we're going to find out as the 5 red lights are going to be turning on, and it's time to go ready to rock and roll here at Road America as we go green, green, green for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship. It's a fantastic start by Eddie Samborski and Jason Sings. They're already, Samborski's already passed Furkheim right there. Samborski looks down to the inside of Pisker, but Pisker able to hold off Samborski. Samborski backs away. Pisker defending onto the inside right there. But Pisker and Samborski running away is down to the inside. That's Fabio DeCarmo on Ben Holko, making a move back on Ben Holko. Ben, who had a great start right there, as here is Eddie Samborski chasing down James A. Pisker as they are pulling away from the rest of the field. And yes, James A. Pisker using DRS on that straightaway to pull out that gap, a little bit of a lockup. And we got a spinner right there. Ben Holko gets collected. Car is going all over the place, and that white, oh, even more chaos. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I'm
Oh, there's someone else off as well.
Galax,
I think.
Oh no. It's spreading. It's spreading. Oh no. So many cars involved right there. I believe at one point we saw one car on top of another car. I think that was I think that might have been Tasky underneath one car, but drivers, I believe at the lap 1, we're going to find out who has damage and who was involved in there, because I think if we're trying to single out who wasn't involved in there, it's going to take most of the broadcast.
I think one thing we definitely say our top, I say our top 5, 6. They definitely weren't involved.
They were safe.
They were yeah.
Safe.
It was just all behind them. It was all kicking off
I think
cars
everybody
everywhere.
behind Fabio DeCarmo, because it was Ben Holko that got loose on the brakes, and which when he got loose on the brakes, he went sideways at the corner entry. So everybody just immediately got onto the binders, and then unfortunately one car touched, then all the dominoes came on, and drivers who have damage are going to be heading into the pits. Shane Lambert, Ben Holko into the pits, as I've been watching James A. Pisker throughout multiple times, and I counted 3 DRS usage so far in that opening lap.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yes.
That only leaves him with 5.
It's more than none. I think, yeah, and I gotta be honest, he's done it again. He's just used DRS again that time, so 4. James A. Pisker trying to pull out a gap early on Eddie Samborski, trying to get out of that draft range and make Eddie earn this, but James, this might not be the strategy that James might, that James probably doesn't want. Try to pull away at the start of the race, but leaves himself vulnerable at the end of the race to Eddie Samborski. Here's a replay of that incident involving Shane Lambert, Ben Holko, and Dennis Corning. There is Ben Holko on the outside, and he's on the curb, lost it, spun, and then gets collected right there. And then right behind him, now that everyone's going slower, chaos happens at the back of the pack. The Ben trying to get back onto the track, crosses over, doesn't see the other car right there, and then it's just well, Bennett looks like a rock and roll demolition derby down south in the mud pits, I gotta say.
I think it was more action and drama than what you gave in one of those figure of 8 bus races that you have, or those 3 cars chained together races that you guys like down south.
I'm not saying we love carnage down here. I'm just saying we're a fine connoisseur of entertainment and destruction.
Well, yes, that's one way of putting it. As we see a bit of a move there. Well, a couple of moves happening here, Austin. Elkin just having to fend off Burn there. Likewise, just in the background, I think it was Tusky and Quoker. I think it was potentially. Who were locked in a bit of a battle between themselves.
Yeah, able to hold it around the outside as he's under pressure by James R. Byrne. Jamie Byrne was able to make it through there pretty quickly as here comes James going down to the inside of Yaya. Late on the brakes, big lockout by Rio Hara. And Hara able to get that car stopped, force it down to the inside, and Hara goes up into 10th place. What a fantastic move by the Japanese driver. Late look, a little bit wild on the brakes right there, but able to make that move absolutely fine.
Wow. He wrote a letter, put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, walked down to the post box, and he full on sent it, didn't he, coming down into turn 5. A big, brave move, but it's one of those moves that either ends in disaster or it pays off for you. In this case, it definitely paid off for him with getting that move done, but these 5 are now locked in a bit of a slip. Well, 6, sorry. No, it is 5, apologies. Yes, my eyes are deceiving me there. Locked in a bit of a slipstream battle, and it's going to be interesting to see how they play this one out, where they all work together to try and catch up onto Jamie Byrne. He's opened up a bit of a gap to these guys. Oh, no, sorry, Ponik it is, apologies. He's opened up a bit of a gap to these guys, or will we start to see a bit of infighting happening? I get the feeling the initial turn we've had from this race so far, Austin, is there's going to be infighting. They're just going to start squabbling with one another.
Yeah, a lot of squabbling about to happen even too. I was looking at our chat, and a good fellow commentator, Johan, let us know that all that bouncing looked like a Merc at the end of a straight. Obviously referring to that carnage as Fabio Di Carmo gets overtaken by Mark Ponick. Ponick able to just swing past Fabio right there and take 6th place without any real drama right now. But this is looking very exciting. And speaking of exciting, overlay cars, long straightaways. Oh, that gives you just a lot of that's just a fantastic combination, isn't it?
It is it's the layout of Road America is convulsive of a great racing. High-speed sections followed by big braking zones where you can get your overtaking moves done. There's plenty of them as well. This is not a circuit like Barber Motorsport Park. It's not like Hungaroring where it's very, nip and tuck, very tight, fine margins. You've got, with limited overtaking opportunities. This is the polar opposite. It's one of the homes of road racing in North America, and wow, these guys are putting on an absolute epic show here. But I'll tell you what, despite all those uses of those DRSs early on, Pinsker hasn't been able to shake off Samborski, and Samborski is hunting him down.
This is looking bad for James J. Pinsker, that strategy that he did at the start, because Eddie Samborski didn't use DRS. He was just picking up the draft and staying within James J. Pinsker's range. And now I think James J. Pinsker, and I'm not the only one who feels like this, at the end of these 20 laps, James J. Pinsker might be in trouble with DRS usage and attacks from Eddie Samborski if he doesn't have enough to hold off Eddie. Because Eddie is right there on the gearbox, and he's not the only one. Dennis Furkheim and Jason Sieg have joined him as well.
Yeah, they've come along for the fight, and this is going to be really interesting. Ooh, hello.
Hara around the outside of Byrne. James Byrne unable to hold off Hara. Hara around the outside, but there's Byrne down to the inside of Hara. Hara with the switchback opportunity. He's not going to be able to take it right there. James Byrne staying ahead of Rehide Hara, as Hara looks onto the outside. Not going to go for the switchback move onto the inside right there. Just staying in the draft of Burn. The 8th and 9th Burns are staying right there as they go through the carousel right now. Lovely driving by all these drivers in this group. Heading through the kink and down into Canada corner. Is Hara going to go for that move? Are we going to be seeing an inside dive? DRS open. DRS being used by Hara. Hara looking down to the inside. Hard onto the brake skills. Hara on Burn. Kept it tight. Left space for James on the outside. James using the runoff at Canada corner. Hara going side by side. And James now. Oh, Hara gets loose. Hara gets caught out to the grass. Gets sniped over. And Burn is flipping over and over. And he could go all the way to the wall and get settled down, and James Burn is probably thinking, what just happened there? Oh my gosh, that was violent.
Well, Austin, I'll give those somersaults there 9.8. I would, if he was in the Olympic sport, but wow, that was a big incident.
Yes, the somersaults were a good 9.8. That landing, though, I'm going to have to give it a 3.5.
He's here all week. The salmon's pretty good, apparently, as well. Here we go for a replay, so we can get to relive it again.
All right, and this is what happened. You see Hara, he went wide right here, caught the grass in the bump right there, which upset him and set James over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-ish flips, something. I'm not sure how many flips he did that first second, but oh my gosh. That was a very unfortunate and spectacular crash. But a very unfortunate incident to end off that fight.
Wow, that was... I mean, it was just a bystander in it. He caught the grass, caught the bump, and it was, by that point, it was just a complete and utter passenger, Austin. Nothing he could do, and I'll tell you what, Pinsker is working overtime right now, trying to shake Sam Borski, but whatever he tries, it's just not working, and Sam Borski is right in his clutches now.
Oh, and he could go for a move right here, but he's not. He's just playing with James.
This is not if, but when Zamborski makes the move, and I tell you what, a big shout out to Oliver Cuoco, who makes all the liveries for Downforce Racing. I was chatting to him earlier in the week. He's a little bit down the field. He's down in 10th place at the moment. And, well, getting a few top-down view, and from Zamborski right now is hunting down Pinsker. I get a feeling Zamborski's just saving his DRSs here, Austin, to utilise.
He knows that he has advantage. He knows James has used that a few uses of his DRS, so he knows he has the advantage at the end of the race. So if he stays with James AP throughout the race, Zamborski will pretty much be in the catbird seat and just needs to capitalize on when he's using that through that extra DRS, at least 3 DRS usage more than James A. Pinsker has. As comments about that flip, the first F3.5 72000 ollie was just completed and landed by James Byrne, who, well, probably is not returning to the track after that.
No, that car was in a right real state of affairs. I think there was barely any panels left on it, and those were, I'm sure, weren't fully intact.
And I thought the biggest crash today we were going to be seeing was James A. Pinsker at the end of qualifying.
Wow, you were wrong, but here we go.
But Eddie, oh, I don't know if you hear that. His gearing might be a little bit off. His 6th gear is sounding a little bit hurt on the straights.
This is an interesting twist of the tail, isn't it? And look, I tell you, Furkheim, credit to him. Dennis Furkheim is staying with these guys right in touch, and you get the feeling maybe he's employing the same sort of tactics Sam Borski is right now. Jason Sieg, the Australian, number one, the Downforce Racing Team drivers, he's starting to drop off a little bit right now, Austin. That gap he's out of slipstream range. He's about 1.4 seconds behind this group of 3 right now. And but then again, all it takes is them start tripping up over one another, trying to get past. Well, they get the feeling they'll probably wait until the straightaways to get their moves done, and that could bring Sieg back into it. So he's still not out of it, but it's looking like it's coming all more challenges. We're not too far. I mean, I don't know where 8 laps have gone, but we're not too far off half race distance.
Yeah, this race has kind of flown by. And, you know, we're having a great time over here. But yeah, theories of what of what Eddie is doing right now is possible tire saving, possible just staying within the draft and making sure that he will have the opportunity to go when he needs to go, or just waiting there until the last opportunity. I'm believing it's a little combination of both for Eddie Samborski. Just staying in the draft. Just waiting for it, and if he wanted to, he could have made the move right here, but he's lifting off, saving fuel. Don't really need to save fuel, it's not a fuel strategy race, but he's just staying within James J. Pinsker's rat on that gearbox, and just being a little bit of a pest.
He's definitely being steady Eddie at the moment, isn't he? And you can see, when we're looking at those camera shots, you can just about see his steering wheel. Not all the lights are being illuminated when he's in 6th gear. And you can actually see, you know, you're mentioning about how he's, you know, coming out of the throttle. And if you can't hear the engine note, you know, dropping down, you can see it from those red lights where actually they, you know, come downwards. And he's definitely, like you say, he's playing with Pinsky right now.
He is.
Lifting. He is definitely lifting. You can see it.
He's holding it to the last moment. That's his strategy. When this gets within 4 laps to go, we're going to start seeing Eddie attack on every straight. Maybe with 3 laps to go, we're going to see it on the first straight. We're going to be seeing it on the second straight, and then we're going to be seeing it on this straight if we go to 3 laps to go. This is James Malo on Fabio De Carmo. No, not De Carmo, but Malo. Whoa, down to the inside and makes contact. Was that Reno Scottini?
It was indeed. It was indeed.
It was De Carmo for the shot up the head, but no, it wasn't. And slow is Riccanetti.
Yeah, I was going to say he's had a bit of an incident somewhere, and that's the aftermath of it. He comes out of the carousel there, and the Brazilian.
No, this is just a own mistake. He was, no, that wasn't the leaders behind him, no. Oh, that curb on the bump on the inside of the track, very dangerous. Got onto the throttle, got onto the throttle, got off the track, made sure nobody else is coming, then got back on, but that is such an unfortunate mistake, a very common mistake. But every time that happens, you just, it's painful.
It is, Austin. It is. And you just help the passenger in it, you know, especially when you're pointing in, well, it's not technically the wrong direction, but it is for rejoining. It's a bit of a nightmare. You've got to sit there and wait for what feels like an absolute
If you're pointing away from the, oh, look at this tasty look by Ponic down to the inside of Miguel Crespo. Crespo using all the traction to say,
he's going to lose another place.
Oh, he's going to lose another place. Here comes, De Carmo down the inside, Miguel Crespo. Oh, that's a horrible 2 corners for him. Falls down to 7th. No mistake on his own, just was caught out. And, well, falls down to 7th. He could stay with De Carmo and Ponic right there, but that was a wonderful move by Ponic. Ponic just snuck up right there. I wasn't sure that Ponic was going to be making that move, but no. Yeah, he did.
I tell you, Ponic is being quite possibly the most aggressive Canadian right now. There's no apologising, you know, stereotypical Canadian apologies going on right now. He is siving through these guys on an absolute cracking race. He's at 4 places so far, into 5th. He's going to have his work cut out to catch up with Jason Sieg, who is nearly 5.5 seconds up the road from these guys you're watching right now. Sieg has also dropped off the back of the lead group of 3 well and truly now. He's nearly 3 seconds behind them. So,
oh, look at that dive down to the inside that Ponic did, trying to break the draft of Fabio De Carmo. and then getting back onto the regular race line. DeCarmo under pressure by Crespo. Are we going to be seeing Crespo on DeCarmo? Right now, Crespo looking down to the inside of Fabio, but just far enough back to really warrant a move at a turn one. Gets right back behind Fabio DeCarmo, as the fight for 5th place between these 3 drivers is definitely boiling. Ponick, though, starting to pull away by DeCarmo, and if Crespo launches a attack on Carmo, this would be great news if you're Mark Ponick. The 22 ahead of him is not Jason Sieg. That would be...
Just not the 23 of Mallow.
It is James Mallow, as I have gone crazily insane. Dyslexia. I'm not calling people with dyslexia insane, that's just me.
Yeah,
I can't read.
Well, yeah, and that aside, you are just crazy, but I wouldn't have you any other way, to be fair. But, well, 11 laps in now, Austin. And this is where it gets a bit interesting of when does Samborski pick his move?
I'm gonna go out there because I know we got 3 straights opportunities, so he could use 6 in 2 laps, and then he could have 2 charging into there. So I'm gonna say about around lap 18 is when we're going to be seeing Eddie Samborski really going to start making those moves. The first use is going to be not the first straight, but it's going to be the second straight, and then the first real lunge is going to be at Canada Corner at the end of lap 18, and then it's just going to be constant attacks for Samborski, because Pinsker, he's already got a few less than Eddie Samborski, but he has enough to defend for or attack for 1 to maybe 2 laps if he utilizes all the 3 next straightaways, because he's used about 3 to 4, I believe, DRSs so far. I believe I counted 4, but I'm going to give myself a buffer of 1. So I'm going to say at minimum, James has 5 DRS
Spinner in the background,
left,
Austin.
and around in the background, I think that was a lap car.
Yeah, there's Rino Scattini just losing it into 5 there. Driving pretty much sideways the Brits.
Tough day. Very tough day so far for the 25.
Oh, caught some grass on the inside.
Yep. Big slide. Kept it under control. Probably just picked up the 1X.
Nothing to worry about. Resuming our conversation about this, battle
we can't leave out Dennis Furkheim. Furkheim he's the wild card in this situation.
He is, and knowing how these 2 fight in front of me, I think Furkheim's just sitting and observing the situation, and needs to be careful that he doesn't drop out of slipstream range. He's on the cusp at the moment, Austin. 7 tenths behind Samborski. Furkheim needs to either start, string things together, catching up. At least he's going to catch up along these straights, and he's also aided by the fact that Samborski is backing out of it, so he's still remaining closer to these guys. And now Pinsker's got the option of, does he let Samborski by? Does he let him go? However,
he definitely could. He definitely could let Samborski by and do exactly what Samborski's doing to him. But James is not going to go to that level right there right now. If he's going to stay ahead of Samborski and keep that clean air for himself, he definitely is.
Oh, look how he slumps up! He's gone! He's gone, Austin!
Don't believe it. James J. Pinsker off at turn 5, falls from the lead down to 3rd place, leaving the fight for the lead to Eddie Samborski and Dennis Furkheim. I'm speechless.
I thought it looked like he was just locking up a little bit on the entrance into 5
I saw a puff
here,
of smoke, and I was like, oh, he's just at the limit. But no, that pop of smoke just completely threw him off his mark, went off the track, and he went into the kitty litter right there. James A. Pinsker falls away from the fight for the lead, and now it's up to Samborski and Furkheim.
Well, what does Samborski know? We know he's got some in reserve and sat in the bag. Does he get the hammer down now? Go for fastest.
Oh,
He's already
You're
pulled out.
definitely when your biggest rival is out in front of you, and now you just got to worry about the guy behind you. It's time to go pedal to the metal, full throttle. Here we go. At the fight for the lead between Eddie Samborski and Dennis Furkheim. You see Samborski 3/10 already ahead of Furkheim that lap, and now they're separated by 8/10 now. And Furkheim, to his credit, has been he's been keeping with the pace, but he hasn't been on the edge of Samborski and James A. Pinsker. But now that his fight for the lead is right ahead of him, he's definitely going to be trying to stay at the end, at the gearbox of Eddie Samborski.
He certainly is, and now it's time to maybe start tactically using up some of those DRSs to really get right up onto the gearbox of Samborski. Oh, Samborski through wide, Austin!
Oh, no!
Furkheim's going to take him!
Disastrous for the two championship regulars. Eddie Samborski gets pushed out wide right there, and now Dennis Furkheim is in the lead. What is going on? Turn 5 and turn 6. Somebody's put a minefield right there of rocks and stones or something, because just catching both of the two best Formula 3.5 drivers out right there in the 2 laps. Here's a replay of what happened of Eddie Samborski heading through turn 6, gets up the hill, turn in, and just gets too wide, catches the grass right there. Oh, that's disastrous for Samborski.
Furkheim just saw the opportunity and said, thank you very much, I'll have some of that. However,
but now Samborski's back in attack mode. DRS activated for Furkheim as we go to 5 laps remaining. And there's the DRS being used by Furkheim. Samborski, full throttle Samborski right now. Eddie steady, not going to go for the move down to the inside, but Furkheim, he's already shown his hand on where he's going to be using that DRS usage on that front straightaway. Are we going to be seeing another use for Furkheim now, leading on Eddie Samborski. Samborski in the draft, heading through turn 5. And once again, staying on that gearbox of Furkheim. Furkheim into turn 5, leading out Eddie Samborski. This is a race that nobody wants to win.
It is. It seems very much that way, and Samborski back to being the stalker rather than the prey in this situation, and wow. It's all, order has resumed. However, it's Furkheim he is hunting down rather than Pinsker. Pinsker went a lot quicker than these two last time around. Well,
they're going to be, these two are going to be swapping for fights. So this is.
You can see Pinsker just in the background, Austin. 4.7 seconds.
If these two continue to hold it up and continue to fight, as Samborski looks for his opportunity right now, just filling the mirrors of Furkheim. I thought he was going to go for the move, selling a dummy right there. You can tell which one he caught out right there in the booth. But if these two continue to fight over each other, and Samborski doesn't push Furkheim that hard, if Furkheim continues this pace, James J. Pinsker could catch up to these two if they are not careful. As Samborski looking down the inside, getting out of the draft. We see this is a James Dave Pinsker-esque move that we've seen from James before, where he would get out of the draft of the car ahead and just stay there, not really be making any moves, and just see on how much speed that he's gaining in the draft versus outside the draft. And Samborski just doing some data collection right now as they go into turn 4 and into turn 5. As Samborski looking down the inside. He's alongside of Furkheim right now. Samborski's launching it into turn 5. A little bit of lockup right there. But Eddie Samborski back into the lead.
He took that with relative ease in the end there, Austin.
Yeah.
I mean, Furkheim just didn't defend. I mean, whether he thought that it was another fake from Samborski, and that's why he didn't defend and kept on the racing line. I think that's probably the most logical answer to it. Just what's happening behind to Pinsker? Well, he has taken around about another 4 attempts out of these two while that overtaking move was going on, but Samborski surely is going to be pedal to the metal now, pulling away and just closing out
DRS
this race.
being used right here, heading into Canada corner by Samborski, trying to pull away for Furkheim and make sure that Furkheim can't have any opportunity to catch up to Samborski. Samborski very wiggly heading through the runoff at Canada corner. Runoff being actually the track right there. It's a very weird part of the track where the runoff is actually considered the actual racing line. But Samborski versus Furkheim, that gap is 7/10. But last time that gap was 7/10, Samborski went wide at turn 6 and took a trip through the grass. So hopefully Samborski isn't pushing it to the point where he's making mistakes. New fastest lap for James J. Pinsker. And he closed in another 10th on Eddie Samborski, but that gap to Eddie is 4.7 seconds. So James A. Pinsker, he's wishing a very unfortunate cloud over Furkheim and Samborski's head if they are going to be fighting for each other or making mistakes. And speaking of fighting, they're certainly fighting right now, as Furkheim got within 3/10 on that straightaway, but Eddie through that corner just able to stay ahead of Furkheim. Half a second separates these two with just 4 laps remaining.
Wow, it's interesting to see how this is going to play. Another battle we've got going on.
This one's been going on all race.
Well, it has pretty much. Tacoma in a sandwich of Ponick and Crespo right now. And so they've been locked together. Likewise, Ronchetti, Quoker, and Owens are also locked in a bit of a tight tussle as well. Similar to what these three are right now. And time Esports by TK driver Fabio Tacoma, the Brazilian, needs to find a way past. But I mean, we've been concentrating on everything, all the excitement, and the drama, and the action at the front. Too sure who's got what left in the bank when it comes to DRSs out of this group, and whoever's got the most is probably going to end up finishing the lead of this group.
Yeah, the lead of this group is definitely going to be decided on DRS usage and who's going to be using it last in track position leading up to that final lap, as Oliver Kwaka goes a little bit wide right there. And I'm going to say it's going to be that bump on the inside corner that's going to cause it once more. We saw this earlier in the race with Ricchetti, and no, it's not the inside. It's the bumps on the outside. Just gets a bit wide and then into the kitty and grass litter right there. And Kwaka in 15th.
He locks up the front left. Ooh, and nearly loses the rear end as well through Canada corner. That car is looking like it's running out of grip from its tyres. Quaker just pushing it a bit too hard, and that's what's hurting him right now.
This is a cat and mouse game right now. Nobody's really launching an attack. Nobody's using DRS. We're closing in on 2 laps to go with these drivers, and they're just not launching moves. This is going to be a last lap to remember for all these drivers, because the last lap, well, no other opportunity for them to get you back on it. So why make the overtake option if you can just wait to the last lap? That's what most of these drivers are banking for right now. And hopefully we don't see that in the F1 Las Vegas Grand Prix in 2023. Since
we're so hyped for that, aren't we? We're both so hyped for that. If they can get the camera, we were speaking about for the show, if they can get the camera angles down the strip just right, that is going to be an epic sight to behold.
iRacing track where?
Yes. If you're listening, Greg West or any of the iRacing team, if you're listening right now, we would love that track. Please make it happen.
But then again, it did take Long Beach 6 years. New fast lap by James J. Pinsker as Samborski 1.3 seconds ahead of Furkheim. And here goes the Carmo down to the inside, and that is tight. Ooh, a little bit of a bump right there. Ponick gets out to the grass. Ponick into the wall. Ponick into the air. Ponick out of the race. Oh, the Carmo and Ponick nose to nose. Nowhere to go for Ponic right there, except for in the grass. DeCarmo was using all the track that was given to him. They did touch right there, and Ponic's just shaking his head.
I'm shaking it for him.
He left all the room.
Ronchetti making a move on Ferdinando here. That is for 11th place. The Brazilian getting past the Scandinavian there.
Yeah, Alexander Ronchetti, the Brazilian, into 11th. Recovery drive right there. But now that DeCarmo and Ponic has happened, that leaves the door open for Miguel Crespo to steal a top 5.
It's got to be on Crespo, surely, in this situation. It's going to be interesting. They run down to Canada corner now. Just we're having a bit of a look. Saw that from Samborski previously, just filling the mirrors to the driver in front of you, trying to distract them, trying to make them to lock up, to snatch a break, miss their braking point, miss their turning point, just anything to distract them and to force an error. Knowing then that
this
you've got
is
some
going
big
to be
straights coming
either error-free now for Crespo. DRS being used by both these drivers. White flag in the air. Last lap here at Road America for Fabio DeCarmo, Miguel Crespo. Crespo looking down to the inside, just filling the mirrors of DeCarmo. And just trying to force a mistake like you were saying. But who has the most usage left? Is it going to be the full-time Esports by TK driver? Or is it going to be the Downforce Racing driver in the fight for P5 as they continue this run? We ride on board of Miguel Crespo on the nose. Crespo getting a good run, not going to be gaining enough time, but he's certainly going to be gaining some track position right now as they make their way through turns 5 and 6 while chasing down Fabio DeCarmo.
I don't know if you heard it there, Austin. Crespo was bouncing off the rev limiter come the end of the straight. He's got not enough gearing. He's hurt himself. I think this could aid DeCarmo and allow the Brazilian to keep hold of that 5th place.
Yeah, you see DeCarmo's actually going out a little bit wide at the entry as he's trying to carry a lot of speed through this final carousel corner as he's just skidding on the draft just a little bit, but this is where Crespo's opportunity is going to rise. As here we go, heading into Canada corner. Here comes Crespo. Crespo looking down to the inside on DeCarmo. Late on the brakes, but it's going to be DeCarmo around the outside. Crespo could have forced it into a mistake. Eddie Samborski from the second row is going to win here at Road America. Dennis Furkheim in third. New fastest lap for Eddie Samborski to ride it off at the end to prove to James J. Pinson that he was the fastest today. James finishes in third. Jesus Segan fourth, Fabio DeCarmo in fifth, Miguel Crespo in 6th place.
Well, Jamie Burns had a quiet one, hasn't he? The driver from New England. Yeah, just been chipping away, coming at a solid 7th for him. We need to give a big shout out as well to Ferdinando, the Scandinavian driver, up 10 places. Biggest position gainer today, coming home in 12th.
Well, he's the only driver in double digits overtakes right there. He was looking for number 11 as we were watching him, but he couldn't get it to the line as he was chasing down Ronchetti. Robin Ferdinando, what a charge. What a charge.
Well, if Ronchetti hadn't have passed him, he would have been up, just a
11.
couple of laps ago. He was up 11. Right. Ronchetti and Shindoi just ahead of him, both up 9 places. Likewise, Gallus, he was up 9 as well. So those big gains for those people in the midfield, largely helped by the retirements of Ponic, Byrne, Hara, Corno, Leroy, and Rutz.
That opening crash was insane. The amount of drivers that went into the pits, 16 down, 9 drivers involved in that opening lap crash, which saw cars bouncing up over each other, under each other, sideways, flipping through the air. Oh, it honestly looked like somebody let a few bulls loose in a bouncy ball castle, in a bounce house, trampoline park. Chaos, pure chaos, everything chaos is how you describe that opening lap. As here's our results: Eddie Samborski takes the win ahead of Dennis Furkheim, James A. Pincer, Jason C., Fabio De Carmen, Miguel Crespo, Jamie Byrne, Yada, Ennis Ankin, Mohammed, uh, Takashi Sinodi, Alexander Ronchetti, Robin Ferdinando, John Owens, Oliver Quaka, Daniel Gall, Shane Lambert, Ben Holko, Rihon Scanidi, Mark Ponick, James Malo in 20th, and behind them, James R. Byrne wins the aerial competition of today's race. Ruhai Hara, Maxime Leroy, Dennis Cornu, and Gerhard Roetz at the end of our 25 car at the end of the pack. But we are joined by our top two. But first, we got to go one before the number two. Ladies and gentlemen, your race winner, Eddie Samborski.
Man, that is chess at 160 miles an hour. I'll tell you that much.
It certainly looked like you had the strategy all worked up at the start of the race today. What you had the start off the line to get beside of Dennis immediately, and then you started seeing James start using DRS. What was going through your head when you started seeing James use his DRS in the first 2 laps?
Hitch your marks perfectly and leave that button alone. That's what I kept telling myself. And man, I held on just barely. There was about a tenth in it before I was about to lose draft, but it worked. Just from the experience here, I know the strategy, so I stuck to it. But a couple times I was down myself, man. And and the track was so grippy that you had to push everywhere, everything with every brake zone, every corner just to try and stay ahead of the guy behind you. Usually it's slick and everyone's more even, but I mean, when you have the grip, you got to use it. That was wild. I mean, you saw the mistakes. That's purely from us just pushing pushing ourselves. I mean, I almost put it turn 7 or 8, turn 6. Yeah, I braked on the bump and I locked the front, so I got off the brakes and hit him again. And man, I had just enough track.
Yeah, the 2 laps follow each other, turns 5 and turn 6. When you saw James lock up the brakes, what was going through your mind?
Brake earlier next lap and don't screw up turn 6. That was it, because I was like, well, he gone. Don't do that.
Unfortunately, it was the corner after that where you made that mistake, but you were able to recover and take the win ahead of Dennis Furkheim. How are you feeling after that, and anybody you want to thank?
I'm feeling fortunate. Dennis whooped me earlier. A couple hours earlier, he beat me. Excellent strategy by him. So, and I'd like to thank everyone behind me who didn't stuff it into me in turn 1. I always appreciate that. Thank the team. Thank Ted for helping me with setups, and thank everyone for participating. It's always good fun.
And thank you for putting on an amazing show for us out there as always. Congrats on another win, Eddie. And over to Tim, who is standing by with Dennis.
I am indeed second place driver, Dennis Furkheim, and joins us now. Dennis, we've just been speaking, Austin's just been speaking to Eddie Samborski. He described it as chess at 160 miles an hour. And, for most of the race, you had front row seats to what was happening in front of you. What was your strategy, just to sit behind and see what kicked off between the pair of them? Or were you looking to get in amongst the fight and rustle a few feathers?
Yeah, first of all, congrats to Eddie, a great race, and also congrats to James. They had an awesome pace. Yeah, actually, I was just trying to follow them. They're so quick. Here at Road America, I always love to come back here to Road America, one of my favorite tracks. And I kept my DRS, but I had to use a couple of times when they tried to get off my slipstream. So, and yeah, it was an awesome race, and a big moment at, I think, lap 11, when there was a back marker. I don't know. Yeah, he almost died. So I'm happy to finish the race anyway.
Obviously, we saw when Eddie made that slight mistake into, I think it was turn 8, or no, 7 or 8. I can't quite remember. It was all happening so fast. you know, and you were able to take control of the race at that point. Uh, was it just you know, what was going through your mind at that stage? Were you just trying to push as hard to get away from him, or did you feel that actually you were maybe in a stronger position being in second, because then at least you could utilize the slipstream on him?
Yeah, yeah, there was no way to stay ahead of Ed. So anyway, at one point he would have gotten me, and maybe the previous race I tried maybe to pass him like the penultimate lap and stay ahead at then, but I kept 3 DRS, and yeah, but didn't work. The last couple laps he was too fast. But yeah, Road America always a good track for me, and with Tom last year we worked out a really good setup, and now with the new livery made by Ollie, yeah, was fun. Really enjoyed
And
it.
so next time out, we're, you know, in a week's time, we're heading to the circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Canada. How'd you fare at that track?
Yeah, I love the track, but yeah, Wall of Champions is it's pretty close. So I don't know if I might kiss it at one point of the race, but yeah, let's see. Yeah, but probably won't have such a strong pace at Road America.
Well, if you don't have a brush with the Wall of Champions, I'm sure somebody most certainly will across that race on a few occasions, especially as it's going to be 26 laps long, that race. Before we let you go, Dennis, anyone you want to give a shout out to at all?
No, probably just Tom and Ollie and my Line GP guys, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and for a great race to James and Ed, and yeah.
No problem. That is Dennis Furkheim, who clinched second place on the podium here at Road America.
A fantastic day of racing as we approach the halfway point in the season. We stay in the Americas for next week, but we in the North America as we go over to Canada and the circuit Gilles Villeneuve, who is going to be kissing that Wall of Champions. I am not sure, but hopefully none of these drivers actually kiss it, but you know, get to sign their name on the Wall of Champions as a champion of Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us here for the iRacing Formula 3.5 Championship here at Road America. I've been joined by Tim Cox with John Robertson in the production booth, and I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.